What if masculinity is not something you prove, but something you practice? Not a performance, not a stereotype, not a volume knob you keep turning up. Maybe real masculinity is what you do when life gets hard, when nobody's clapping, and you still choose integrity, care, and courage. Welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, a space for real conversations about mental wellness, identity, and how we grow without breaking ourselves in the process. I'm Yusuf, and today I'm joined by Bill Volkmann, a founder and disability advocate whose life has demanded resilience, adaptability, and a redefinition of strength on his own terms. Our topic: what is the true definition of masculinity? Not theory, real life. What masculinity looks like when you have faced loss, change, and the pressure to be strong in ways that are not always healthy. With that, I welcome my guest Bill to the show.
Thank you, Yusuf, for having me.
Perfect, sir. It is our pleasure. Bill, when you hear the word masculinity, what is the first feeling or memory that comes up before even we define it?
I think the first thing that comes up is my dad and my uncle. They were really rough, tough guys, got big muscles, strong, but they always care for people. They always care for their people, especially their wives, their children. They they look out for people. And I think that's a version of masculinity that is not being taught today.
Okay.
It's more about being macho. I mean, I'm the man, but I see, my dad and my uncle ways of being masculine, and I followed that way. Cause I look out for my friends, my family, like things like that.
Mm, yeah, that is important because most of us don't meet masculinity as an idea first. We meet people and then we make it a rule guide like, oh, that is a very masculine manner. I want to be that. And if I am not that, I'm not masculine.
I think a lot of people think of people with like men with muscles and men being tough, and I knew men like that, but they didn't really take care of their family. They took care of themselves, and me. That's not being masculine. Being masculine is taking care of your wife, your girlfriend, your family, your children. That's my definition.
I see. And what do you think, Bill, is the biggest misconception people carry about masculinity today?
I think the misconception today is everybody gotta be tough. The tougher you are, the more masculine you are. But the way I look at it is, there's people that act and start tough, and they have a lot to hide. They have a lot of insecurities. They, they kind of master it with being masculine and being tough. And I don't think that that's the right way of being a man today.
Yeah. That lands because the misconception usually sounds like strength, but it often produces isolation. And Bill, when you don't fit in that narrow stereotype because of disability, sensitivity, grief, or circumstances, what tends to happen socially? How do people treat you differently?
But when they first see me, they see me with my logo. I kind of walk differently, and they see somebody that's weak, and I'm not weak at all. I'm, I'm very strong. Like, I lost my mom and my dad before I was 30 years old, and I didn't want to crawl in a hole and be, or I lost my parents. I wanted, I wanted to honor them for being like, okay, I lost my mom and my dad, but now I will be independent. I'm gonna work for what I want, and I'm gonna do what I want. And when people see that, they kind of like say, wow, who is this guy? Then they just said, they once they get to know me, then they'll hold definition of what they see at the beginning changes. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. And Will, you have lived through experiences that force a person to confront identity early. Cerebral palsy from a traumatic brain injury, special needs schooling, and then breaking barriers after the ADA. Where do you think our culture's version of masculinity comes from? Is it from fear, pride, survival, etc.?
I think it's from fear and pride. Like when I did, I walked the barriers of being the first kid in a public school in New Jersey with an intellectual of developmental disability. Um, a lot of people didn't believe that I could do that, but I believe in myself. My mom and dad believe in me, and I did it, and nobody was gonna stop me. I was doing it no matter what, and I didn't complain when substance times got hard or things didn't go my way. I kept going through it and going through it, and I think today when I see certain people, when things don't go their way, they kind of complain or they kind of say that that's not fair. And I think in their minds, they're being masculine, but they are more insecure and more worried about themselves. So I think the key is when you see somebody being over masculine and over uh, confident, they,
Yeah.
they are very, they are not confident. Confidence is more of a quiet, a quiet confidence is like a strong confidence. Like somebody who's like, I'm being confident, I know what to do. They are not confident.
Yeah. Right. Because when masculinity is built on fear, it becomes a mask. And when it is built on values, it becomes a compass.
I I totally agree on that. And I believe in the built values, like going back from my father and my uncle. They don't need to take care of people. look out for your friends and your family and be there for them. So that's the confidence that I bring, and I feel like a lot of men are lacking that today. They just don't have that in them.
Yeah. Bill, you have dealt with grief, losing your parents and your older sister who helped care for you. You have also lived the reality of caregiving through your mother and your father's multiple sclerosis. How did those experiences shape what you believe masculinity should look like in a family, especially around caregiving, dependence, and vulnerability?
Well, I mean, when my mom and dad passed away, like I didn't hide my grief. Like I cried and I lay it out, and I think that if you cry, if you show emotion, like that gives you, more strength after that. And when my sister was dying and stuff like that, she actually told me to live my dreams. And she knew my dream was to move to Southern California. And I was like, well, I don't know nobody in Southern California. But she told me, Bill, you are tough. You can do it, and God believe in you. And my sister, when she was dying, that was her last wish. She see that I move to the place that I like to be. And I moved to San Diego. I'm way before she passed away. And I think that's and I'm doing what good out here. Cause I knew nobody in San Diego. And I think that being strong and being confident are like the definition of being masculine. Because, because if you're strong and you're confident and you're willing to take chances. Because, if you don't take a chance, you never know what you're going to get. So I have to tell people, don't be afraid to take a chance. And even if you fail, learn from that failure and then come back with that lesson and do it again.
Yeah, that is that is very real because caregiving gets framed as not masculine enough. Yet it is one of the strongest forms of devotion, strongest form of masculinity.
Yeah. I agree. Like myself, when my sister was dying, I had to take care of my nephew. And my nephew has autism. And all of a sudden, I became like a dad. And I'm like, okay, I never had this. But now I'm going to be kind of like a dad to my nephew for the next year and plus. And I think that is a great, not only challenge, but a great honor to take care of my nephew. Because I was doing that for my sister, but I was also teaching my nephew how to be a man, and talking to him about masculinity and making sure he had the right idea of what being a man was.
Yeah. But Bill, some people argue that redefining masculinity is just softening men, and that society still needs toughness and stoicism. How would you respond to this argument?
I mean, I really believe if you want to be a man and you want to, if, if you want to really help people, like helping people is, I think, is the strong sign of being masculine. Because everybody who's helping, what I know, again, from my dad and from my uncle, was helping people with the definition of being masculine. And when I see today, when people make that argument, like, you gotta be tough, you gotta do it on your own. And then that's it. Man, I'm like, that's not a man. Like, you got a man, the opposite of that.
Yeah. Mm. Bill, if people want to connect with you or learn more about you, where can they find you?
I have a TikTok, uh, and see more of my life, and what I'm doing is the TikTok is at Bill Volkmann, BILLBOLKMANN, and they can follow me and see what I do in my life.
Perfect. And to everyone listening, this link is in the show note, so just go and check that out. Bill, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
I think the last message that I have is being strong and being tough is not the way to be masculine. To be kind, to be skillful, and to be, you know, helping others. That's the way that you are masculine.
Yeah. If this conversation gave you language for something you have been carrying quietly, please take a second to follow Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Not because we are trying to chase numbers, but because these kind of honest conversations can become a steady place you come back to when life gets loud. And if you know someone who is wrestling with identity, grief, or the pressure to be strong, share this episode with them. It might land like support. I thank you all for listening, and I thank my guest Bill for his expertise and for this conversation. I'm Yusuf, and this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and stay real.